What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode. I know they've been few and far between lately, but we're back. And by that I mean on occasion. It's been a while. Let's get you caught up to speed. I've been recently touched with the seasonal virus. It's kept me down for about a week. Also known as the man cold. And it was a pisser. Still is. I don't feel great, but I feel good enough. I've always been one of those guys that thought my 80% was still pretty goddamn good. So I'm not saying I didn't have my moments in this past week where I felt bad for myself and I just wanted to be kind of a punk and just lay around and use my illness as an excuse to lay around. I tried it for a few minutes, almost took a nap, and then AJ called and F that up for me. I haven't napped in 12 years. He had no reason to call either. Just random, spontaneous. Had almost dozed off for my first nap in 12 years. But anyway, happy first day of school. It's August 23rd, and here in Iowa, most schools, if not all schools, are going back today for at least a half a day. So congratulations, parents and public safety and healthcare. We made it through another summer. And listen, I don't mean that to sound like I'm wishing my kids away. I'm just saying it's real nice every now and then to have a day, right? Where you have the day off. Most of the world should be at their jobs. Your kids are now at school, and you can do whatever the hell you want at your leisure, and you're unencumbered by nap time or lunchtime or taking some kid here or taking some kid there, at least for a few hours. Anyway, and I think it's glorious. It's my favorite time of the year. Not that I don't enjoy my kids. I do. And I also enjoy when they're at school. So there. It's okay to say it, parents. You're not a shithead if you say, man, I'm so glad my kids are back in school. That being said, it is a reminder of how we've taken another trip around the sun. This time last year, I was just as excited, but now it's a year plus, which means my kids are getting older, which means I'm getting older, and that's okay. That's how it's supposed to go. I was thinking back earlier today about how my oldest is a senior, right? And it's kind of a big deal. And I remember when she graduated, air quote, graduated preschool, which, please hear me, you don't really graduate preschool. You just go to kindergarten. I said it, and I'm married to a preschool teacher. Point of this is that my wife cried, I think, during her air quote graduation. And I was like, man, that's weird. And I called her out on it. And I said, you're shitting me, right? Like you're crying. Your kid is basically just got a year older, which is why she's going to kindergarten. She did not accomplish some great task here, like where she had to identify 7 out of 9 colors in order to move on to the next grade. She's just moving on to kindergarten. And I didn't realize it at the time, why it means so much to moms and women and how they attach an emotion to an event. Okay, so this senior year will be no different. To me, and I do not speak for every dad or man or dude, I speak for me. I see it as a progression, as a step, as the next evolution. And I think moms see it as this is the last time my little girl or my little boy is going to have their first day of school. So this is the last first day of school. And they attach an emotion to that, which is totally cool. Like, not knocking it. I'm not disparaging it or anything. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying I realized that it took me a long time to realize that my wife's emotional reaction to a preschool graduation was basically biological. It's just how she's wired, and I think a lot of women are wired to attach an emotion to an event. Me, I was just like, you're shitting me. And I feel the same way about high school graduation. Nobody, like everybody in the country if you're a senior in high school, is probably going to graduate high school. You have not accomplished some great feat where you're in a small select group of people who have reached this milestone in life. You're not. It's not a special thing. Now, I think I still don't understand why we celebrate it, but I think I can get close by saying it's basically just a rite of passage, right? Like, you have met the requirements over a certain amount of years to qualify to show up on a Sunday during Memorial Day and get a diploma. That is really not hard to get with minimal effort. You and 1.87 million other kids today. Now, fact check me. I made that number up. I'm just saying, what are we doing? But it gives people a reason to come together. It gives people a reason to congregate. It gives people a reason to celebrate that might not otherwise do it. So is it a formality? Is it a ceremonial? Yes. Is it impactful, meaningful? I don't know. You're going to get some speaker to sit up there and go, listen, you guys can do whatever you want to in your life because you're you and you're special. It's not true. But you're going to feel good about the future for 10 minutes until you leave. And then you're like, oh, shit. I have to have my college application in by a certain time, which means I have a responsibility and a deadline, which may be something that I might not be used to. And then all of a sudden you're going to shit your pants. But again, rite of passage. That's it for that rant. This show today, I want to talk about your why. And I want to talk about my why. And I want to tell you why I think, how I came up with this topic. Now, this is unscripted. I have not taken one show note. I have not. I went for a walk earlier today, and it all came in my head about how I wanted this message to get out there. How it gets delivered is always, you got to wait and see, because I don't even know how it's going to get delivered. But I know what I want, the points I want to articulate, and if they come out in an articulate fashion, then super great. If I have to explain myself a little bit, I'm not bound to any certain amount of time or explanation. Here it is. I'm going to tell you why I got triggered by this. Now, I just used the word triggered, and I did. I was in a meeting, a team meeting. Okay. And so everybody on my team that listens to this show, this is not meant to be, I'm not calling anybody out. I'm not singling anybody out. I'm just using it as an example. I know that you all listen to this show, so I'm not trying to make some sort of great claim to anything. I'm just using it as an example of what made me think of this. And at the end of the meeting, our manager, who's a wonderful person, by the way, I've got zero things to say. She listens to this show. So it's not like I'm going to sit here and bash my employer on air, because I'm not. But she, at the end of the meeting, was in an effort to, I think, to get us all back around to a common theme, wanted us to just examine our why. Meaning, why are we doing this job? Why do we work here? Why do we do the things that we do? Right? And now, I'm going to explain myself. Instantly, I know that the word is triggered, but instantly I got defensive. Because it has been my experience, and mine alone, that usually when an employer or manager wants you to rediscover your why, it's because they want you to come up with a reason to come to work other than the reasons you come to work, meaning pay and benefits, right? That's my why. Well, that's not true. It's one of my whys. So it has been my experience that when employers or managers try to get us to come back to, now this is not the case with this one. Now, let me explain that. This was not her intent. Okay. We had a conversation after this. This was not her intent, but my reaction was very visceral and conditional, meaning I've heard this before from other employers. Okay. This is not unique. This is my reaction to a well-intentioned message. Okay? So let's just get that clear. It is not the opinion of my employer, what I'm saying. Anything I say on the show. Okay. However, it has been my experience that usually when managers or corporations or businesses try to come together and bring people together based on their why, it means they're trying to remind people that they do this job for some sort of intrinsic or divine or voluntary feeling. Meaning, I can't afford to give you a raise, so I want you to think about why you really do this job. And maybe that'll get you through the fact that you can't put as much gas in your tank as you used to. Okay? Again, this was not her intention. This is my visceral reaction because I've heard it before. I've been around long enough to know, and I've been around long enough to experience when people leave jobs and when you talk to people, and let me back up. I've been around long enough to know when times were good, when people came to work because their incentives were good, their teams were good, they valued the jobs that they did, they valued who they worked with, they felt loyalty to their organization or their company or their department, and they felt a loyalty to their teammates. Okay? I've worked at places like that. Still do. Okay? But I've also seen those same places start to slowly pull back on some of those whys, right? So, man, I just the incentive isn't as good as it used to be. My hours aren't as good as they used to be. Maybe the discount on food for employees isn't as good as it used to be, right? And then or man, I've noticed we haven't Susie quit. I'm just throwing that name out there that I don't have I know a real Susie, but this isn't about her. Susie quit and we haven't replaced her. It's been a long time since we've gone without that position. And so now I have to do more work, or now I have to cut up, and I'm taking up the slack for Susie, still at the same rate of pay that I was getting when Susie was here. Right. And so all of those things eventually add up to, why am I still here? Good question. And so you can take this conversation two ways, and I think we're going to take it both ways. We're going to take it to, why do we do anything? What's the why? So if you look at us in healthcare or look at us in public safety, if you were to interview 100 of us, I think 99% of the people would say, if you said, hey man, why do you do this job? 99% of us are going to say, because we want to help people. And I believe that. We do. We're servants of people. Does that mean on occasion we don't bitch about it? No, it doesn't, because the human condition basically allows us to bitch about it. It's just the way it is. Now, my why for why I do my job and your why for why you do your job is bigger than pay and benefits. Isn't it? I mean, it really is. You can't put a price on helping somebody in their time of need. You really can't. You can't duplicate the feeling of being a part of a team, a really, really good team, and accomplishing the team's mission or goal or mission statement, right? That's pretty goddamn cool. Not going to lie. But cool doesn't pay the bills, right? Cool doesn't put chicken eggs in your refrigerator. So there comes a point where we all have to reevaluate why. And that's what today or this week I want us to think about. I want us to go back. I don't care if you've been in public safety or healthcare for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Why? Why are you here? And more importantly, why are you staying here? I think it's interesting that throughout the years, I've heard a lot of people, and I've had lots of conversations with people, believe it or not, I'm a conversational person. And I can remember a time where people had opportunities to leave for whatever reason, spite, better opportunity, uh, the big FU finger to the man. If you don't appreciate me here, I'll go somewhere where I'm appreciated. And those same people that have those opportunities have elected to stay. And then I always ask the same question. Why? Why are you staying? If you don't like your hourly rate, if you don't like your schedule, if you don't like your health care benefits, right? Why are you here? And they almost always have the same response. Because of the team. I'm here for the people. Because I love them. I love these people. I want... Now, these are usually people that work in like high stress environments that have had the ability to formulate certain relationships based on stress and based on grief and based on bad outcomes, based on good outcomes, based on good stories, the feel good stories, right? So these people usually say, I'm here because I can't let my teammates down. And I'm like, okay, I get you. You hear me say it all the time, be kind, be a good teammate. I get it. I'm on your side. But there comes a time where that doesn't go very far. Certainly in these times, that's not going as far as it used to. So now you have to think of, well, why am I staying? I know that there's an old saying that says the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Maybe it is. Maybe sometimes it is. Maybe sometimes instead of saying, why am I here? You would say, oh, shit. That last oh shit was because my wife came through the back door. Not, she didn't catch me doing anything I shouldn't be doing. It's interesting to me how you think you have your whole entire day where like from 8 a.m. to noon, let's say, I'm going to be without interruption. And then the 30 minutes I choose to do this show, bam, out of nowhere, your wife walks in at 10:15 or 11:15 in the morning. Now, I don't know that I reacted to that the right way. Maybe I should have had her on. Maybe she should have said, hey, what's up? She's in a good mood. She's very happy. She came to get something that she probably forgot this morning. And instead of welcoming her on the show, I just basically hit cut. So anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, I was going to say this. Maybe instead of asking ourselves why are we here, let's ask ourselves why we haven't left. And I'm not trying to get some sort of mass exodus. I am trying to get people to think that if your why no longer serves you, then I would have to ask why continue to do it. Does that make sense? There's a lot of examples we can use. Maybe you've been working at the same job for the same rate of pay for too long, and there's other opportunities out there. And you would say, man, it would be nice to work for this other place. But, I've been here for X amount of years. I know everybody. I know the routine. I'm kind of comfortable. Like, I don't need to, I don't want to be the new guy, or I don't have to work nights. But your why is fluid, in my opinion. Like, your why should change. Maybe fundamentally, like why you're in healthcare, or why you're in public safety, or why you're in whatever that fundamental reason that you want to serve people probably never goes away. But there's different ways to serve people that can better serve you and that can better serve your family. And I don't mean that in a selfish way, but let's be real. I've sat through a lot of messages that try to get me to do more work for the same amount of pay on the base of that fundamental why. Meaning, if corporations and businesses are spending a lot of money on online training for you to understand, what makes your coworkers feel good about themselves, I think that there's an underlying issue there that probably needs to be addressed, because really what makes us all feel good about going to our job is making money and being able to provide for our family and putting food on the table and making sure we got gas in the car and making sure your kids can get a new pair of shoes if they need them, right? Like, those things are fundamentally wise. But I've seen it too many times where places will maybe give you an arbitrary title that really means nothing, but it makes you feel good for a little bit that you're an important part of the team and that you've got this new responsibility, mind you, for the same amount of money. And you feel real good and you feel real important, and you now have to answer some emails maybe on your off time that you really wouldn't do it. And then you would have to go back and say, hey, wait a minute. Why? Why am I doing this? How is more work for the same amount of money serving me? And I don't think it's selfish to think that. I really don't. I think it's important to reevaluate if your why is still providing you with the things you need to be successful, to be secure. And I know it's scary out there to go, listen, this place that I thought I was going to be at for the rest of my life isn't really satisfying my why. I'm going to have to go look for a place that is in line with my why. And I think most of it under if you look at your why, meaning I want to do the most good for the most amount of people. I want to provide a service for people in need. 100%. The downside is that we meaning the people, the government, the society, has found a way to make money on that. Like, that's a capitalistic job, to healthcare, to make money on people's. Now, the difference is that we basically employ people who do this job based on good intentions for what's in the best interest of the citizen or patient, right? And so I think some employers know that, and they're like, well, listen, your community really needs you, and so therefore we really need you, and then we can't afford to pay you any more money. We can't afford to, because at the end of the day, companies and businesses are broke too, just like you are. And so their job is to get the most amount of work out of you for the least amount of money. And my job is to get the most amount of money for the least amount of work. That doesn't mean, zip it, my dog. That doesn't mean I'm going to go in there and only do the minimum, because our careers and our jobs are full of self-starters and self-motivators and people that are interested in being busy. I'm just saying, if you go back to the why, the fundamental reason why we do this job is to help people. That's the foundation. But there's a lot of little whys in there that add up. And I don't, how long has it been since we've all just sat down and reevaluated our why? Whether it's the schedule, or your best pal works in the same unit, or your buddies worked at this department for 20 years and they finally got a spot to open up to where you can go. The money is super good and the benefits are really, really good. There's a lot of different whys. But there's also a reason to look, if those whys change throughout your career, and those are the whys are fluid, that you need to change with it. And that's okay. That's not selfish. That's not abandoning your team. That is, life is fluid. And in all honesty, money has no loyalty, right? So as much as you may love your teammates, are your teammates pitching in to help you pay for groceries? That's what I'm saying. Go back and let's look at why. If we're in a position that doesn't serve us, and maybe it's temporary, maybe you're like, wow, my why is this. I'm just trying to get through school. Okay, good one. Why are you working so much overtime? Well, I'm paying for vacation. Okay, cool. And maybe that why is temporary. But if you are every day struggling to find why you're here, maybe you should be looking at why I haven't left. That may be semantics and they may be the same thing. But in all honesty, let's take a look at that. Now, I challenge you to find your why with anything. That why could be negative. Why am I still in this relationship? Maybe when you find that you're having some troubles and say, well, why am I in this relationship? Or why am I training for this triathlon? Why am I trying to lose this 20 pounds? Why am I, this isn't a question of why are you the way you are. This is a question of why are you doing what you're doing? I'm not trying to get anybody to try to figure out really what makes them tick. That's a whole different conversation. I'm trying to get people to understand why they're doing the things they're doing and how is it serving them at the time. And again, the challenge to this question was not a negative, but it did bode some interesting questions, right? You can take it as, oh yeah, you're right. I forgot that I do this job because I love people and I love helping people and it makes me feel good to help people. And I needed that. I needed to come back around and to find my center and realize that I do this because I love people. Great. You're perfect. If that recenters you and remotivates you to do what you need to do, I'm all for it. Maybe it got you to be like, oh, that's a good point. Why am I here? Why am I still here? Why am I still here at a place that seems to slowly erode my soul? That place could be anywhere. Your job, your relationship, your hobbies. Why do I continue to do this? Maybe it's the casino. Maybe you're sitting around the casino going, man, why am I still here? I've wasted 8 hours in this place. Something to think about. That's really all I got. There was no poignant epiphany to this thing. It was just purely to get everybody thinking now that we start the new school year and our kids are going to make decisions. You remember when they were young and they would just why you to death and be like, well, why is the sky blue? Why is the sun yellow? Why is this? Why? And you just were like, listen, I need you to zip it because I don't know the answers to any of these questions and I'm tired of you asking why. I think now as we age and we're getting into different times in our lives, we need to start asking why more. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this podcast? I had to be reminded the other day that it's a hobby. And just like any other hobby I've ever had or still have, I've invested in those hobbies. So my idea that I'm going to do this for free, I mean, that it's not going to cost me anything, I think is ridiculous now that it was brought to my attention, because no hobby I've ever done has not ever cost me any money, right? I've invested in every hobby, whether it's hunting or, my gym or this podcast. I bought some stuff the other day. It didn't work. I tried to find 2 headsets that I could plug into my computer and we could have a conversation without us both having to come within 4 inches of this single microphone. And they were epic fails. So it's $50 that I just pretty much blew for no reason, but I had a gift card, so it's not like it cost me anything. Anyway, so I have to be reminded, why do I do this podcast? I don't do it to make money. I don't do it because I think I've got this weird self-importance, because I certainly know that that's not true. What I do have, I think, is 20 years of experience and 4 kids. And I think does that make me an expert? No. But I can tell you, My why is to pass on that information on how I've navigated that for the last 20 years. If you're interested in listening, you may not be interested in listening, and that's fine. But again, my why is not for those people. My why is for those people. Does that make sense? All right. I just wanted to get something out there. I think it's important. Let's just all sit back and take a deep breath and try to figure out why we do or why we don't do what we do. And if those things have changed, then maybe we need to change our strategies. And maybe that means getting out of your comfort zone and looking for something that that serves you better. And that's not a negative thing, and nor should it be looked at as a negative thing. That is you growing as a person and trying to put things in your life that grows with you. So that's it for now. Everybody enjoy the day. I'll have one kid coming home in a half hour for no reason other than the 7th period study hall. And then the younger ones will be home after 1 o'clock. So I got another hour and a half of joy. And by that, I mean quietness. And I'm going to take it. So until next time, work hard, be kind. Bye. Hey guys, thanks again for listening to another episode of the Shift Change Podcast. I need to ask if you would leave a rating. I think that it helps people who are new to the podcast find it quicker. It doesn't do me any good, but it does help other people that are looking for the Shift Change Podcast on Spotify or Apple. It just comes up quicker the more ratings that you give it. Whether you give it a 2 or a 5, it doesn't make a difference. It just helps other people. If you need to get a hold of me, contact me via my email, the show email, which is talkshiftchange@gmail.com. Or you can message me on Instagram at talk.shiftchange. At talk.shiftchange on Instagram. As always, thanks for listening. I could not have imagined how well this podcast has been received. So, as always, I appreciate it. Work hard, be kind.